Greetings, y'all. How y'all doing? I have a quick question. I was thinking about this a second ago, and I said, I like to put my mind in a state as to where, even if I could draw it on paper and conceptualize it in such a way where, at the beginning of time, first human civilization, what was it? How did it look? How pure was it? Air quality index, this, that, and the third, organic food, heirloom seeds, yada, yada, yada. And then I kind of I add some things in, and it's kind of like a mathematical equation. In addition to science, of course, science and math runs the world. Knowledge is power, and knowledge reigns supreme, right? So, in regards to what we're dealing with on a spiritual level, which of course permeates into the physical, two entities that's inseparable. So I said, yo, a lot of we've covered, and you may have heard that there is a dominant gene pool and a recessive gene pool. Now, of course, for the dominant, you have it would be those that are more or heavily uh, melanated, predominantly melanated. And I can never say this enough. I guess sometimes I sound like a broken record, but the paternal line is indeed a very strong line. Okay, which actually, to me, determines the ethnic group of that child. Of course, everyone walking on the earth is the seeds of their father. There is order, ordinance, okay, that has been put forth by the Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother. More so, it is a trilogy within itself. I don't even think I put out the video. I made a recording. I didn't get to put it out, but I'm going to say it here that there are so many trinities of trinities, right? And based on what I just shared there about the Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, I believe the most highest Trinity of Trinities would have to be the Holy Creator, the Holy Father, and the Holy Mother. Okay, I wish I could go ahead and draw that. If I was to make it in a form of a pyramid, of course, the Holy Creator will be at the apex, and the Heavenly Father to the right, and the Heavenly Mother to the left. Okay, or the Heavenly Father to the left and Heavenly Mother to the right. And with such, you have life and everything in it. Okay, because it takes man and woman, of course, to make a baby and a child, another human being, which is how we all got here. Hence, not even hence, but which is why I just don't understand in a way I do, which is why I'm kind of touching on when I'm touching on in the spiritual sense. I just don't get how the proliferation or the uh, heavy prevalence of sexual wickedness and homosexuality, LGBT, is still here and it's still prevalent. Why? We can't hear something and just get it through our head. I guess we can, but the battle is to uh, go about those, I guess, the courses to rid whatever's off of you. In which I find that fear, you have any fears, that's what really anchors that entity within you that has taken possession of you. And now you are invoked and provoked to do X, Y, and Z based upon that possession. There is so much to learn. And moving forward, I put my mind in the beginning of time, and then I start to reference things, and depending on what is it that I'm trying to, uh, you know, find out. Whatever it is, I'm trying to, get the answer to. whether I have a hunch or not. I think that's a I find I find if you try that out, even even if it is it's going to be based on a doctrinated concept, a religious concept. I believe you can't. I believe in such doing you can't negate the product of which you will receive by putting your mind, setting it upon the beginning of times when things was utopic, when things were when truth, justice, and righteousness truly reigned upon earth and pristine and all those wonderful things before perversions came in by and perversions and other wickedness come by way of what? Of you doing that which is opposite of what we ought to do by the decree of the Holy Creator. The cleaner the better, right? It is a tough battle. It is a tough battle. There's a lot of things that took place, but I know that just as it's said that as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. And I believe that to be true. Everything was made in truth. Everything was made under the laws of Ma'at, truth, justice, and righteousness. And with so, I mean, listen, with truth, justice, and righteousness, you're undoubtedly the old ancient province, sectarian provinces, state, city, neighborhood, village, under the auspice of truth, justice, and righteousness, you have cleanliness. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So let me wrap this up real quick because I don't want to hold y'all too long. I'm already 7 minutes in, quite short. Rather be concise, short, forward. Based on what I shared quite recently about genetic pool, the gene pool, and you have a dominant and recessive. Listen closely. This is the easy one. So the oldest bone was found in Eastern Africa. We know that, covered that. I believe we ought to keep each other in remembrance of that so we can always, you know, I believe what we're working on in humanity is to get us to this point where we know what is factual, and we move forward on it. Okay, so the oldest bones, there haven't been any other bone that has outdated that bone that was found by scientists of all colors in the eastern coast of Africa. And that's beautiful within itself, remarkable. Human civilization. Consider that to be a first edition. If you got a first edition card of a basketball player, a football player, a baseball player, a soccer player, if you have a first edition of a book, if you have a first edition of a music recording on vinyl, CD, tape, if you have a first edition of Jordans, I mean sneakers and apparel, whatever it is, you're gonna treasure that, wouldn't you? First editions of considerably so of human civilization would be who? What group? Okay. So if all people came through the loins of the original heavy melanated man and woman, African man and woman, and we are all one huge family, brothers, sisters, cousins, aunties, uncles, X, Y, and Z, that share different genes and DNA coding. Well, before the Europeans and the light Europeans and the light Asians and the light Indians came onto Earth, their inception. What is it that we was fighting in a spiritual sense? Because remind yourself, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. So what is it that we were fighting that we all continue to fight and battle? Do you hear me? What is it that we were fighting, African man, African woman, before the inception of the Europeans, Asians, and Indians? Some people don't go with the idea or the concept that all people came through the loins or came from or are descendants of African people. Okay, I'm all right with that. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, X, Y, and Z. However, let's include some science here in just a small sense. You have to know, and this is not up for debate, that the more melanated you are, the more closer, well, the more capacitance you have for great things within you, because like I said and I covered before, the only group of people that can truly bring heaven on earth, like no group can, are the most melanated people. You know, and some people would want to say, like, makes sense. Like, what do you mean? And there's things that I've covered in the past. See, this is why I get a bit bothered and I don't get incentivized like that, because I haven't heard from anybody when I put out these videos, and they haven't asked any questions, so we can be more telling. They haven't asked any questions or shared any concerns, X, Y, and Z, so we can continue to break bread, and hopefully what is displayed through the comment section or this, that, and the third could also help to edify those who will come on board or stop by the page by whatever means. But I guess jealousy, envy, and things like that continue to interrupt the true growth we ought to have with one another moving forward. So I'm not even going to go into that and try to break it down. You're going to believe what you want to believe. If you're going to be ignorant to it, I believe, and in fact, I would hope and pray that you are shown and you are made privy to the irrefutable truth, because it's needed. So, what were we battling in the spiritual sense? Because the book, what the good book says, spiritual warfare. So we were certainly battling something in which there are many people that are still trying to learn Mother Nature, still trying to learn that of the Creator by studying what's out here in the world. No matter what color you are, the more you learning about fish and aquafauna, avifauna, avifauna, which is of the birds, bird kingdom, and all that, right? So, and all kind of life forms. Dendrology, dendrology. Oh Lord, have mercy. That word always get me there. Excuse me. In addition to we have chemistry, we have botany, we have there's so much to cover, and this is exactly why, brothers and sisters, this is exactly why. Trust me, that the Europeans and the Asians are very smart. They're very intelligent. They're very powerful, and they are supreme. They are of a supreme nature as well, because they study these things, which is ingrained in their children. In fact, listen, once it's ingrained in that DNA, it goes into that black box, okay, within them, within that genome. It is what it is, and it gets passed down, okay? Even Morgan Freeman, I love what they did with the movie Lucy. Even Morgan Freeman kind of touched on what I just shared there. It was kind of like, paraphrased in a different way or explain, but it's quite similar. And in addition to what I just said, he said, dude, Lucy was asking what to do with all this knowledge, and he was like, do what any, share the knowledge, pass it on. That's what we're here to do. And so this is why I don't get involved with colorism and whatnot. This is exactly why I shared that when I get, as I've become more conscious and been maturing in things, that I'm attracted to, in the sense of woman. I just have to say is that I'm attracted to any woman that has good hygiene. However, I won't be blinded by that, but it is something quite pleasant to know and to look at and to just be in the presence of, even for those of men. Okay, men, women, and children. The cleaner we are is a beautiful thing. I mean, when you walk into a clean house, you can go visit a friend's house, a family member's house. You go in and you're like, wow, you know. Especially when it's natural, they got good. They may have incense burning. They may have oil burning on the oil burner, or a nice natural candle. Everything is clean. You know, Come on now. We all like nice clothes and clean clothes. What about the clean car you like to step into? Lord knows, I think New York City, places like New York City, Miami, Texas, LA, black people, the car ain't even that goddamn dirty, but we still stopping by that car wash and going on ahead and spend that money to wash that car. Okay? Wow. I tell you, but there's so much going on because I think we got too caught up in vanities. Okay? Nevertheless, what is it that we were fighting that they took on? When I say they, respectfully, the Europeans, Asians, and otherwise, which has to do with heritage, inheritance by different means. You follow? So, we this is, I'm putting this out there so we can get down to the nitty gritty. So we can get down to some serious business here and continue to put these pieces of the puzzle together so truth, justice, and righteousness can reign. Okay? And we can grow, we can elevate, and establish new covens in addition to reclamation, particularly for African people, African descendants, okay? Redemption, salvation, reclamation, repatriation, and otherwise. So when we look at those that's going through, we got to say, hey, wait a minute. This thing is still as existential. This spiritual war and these demons, that's ruling, well, not ruling, but tampering, in fact, with the all kinds of systems and orders out here that the Holy Creator has already bestowed. For instance, the chakras. If your chakras is not aligned, not to say you're just an evil person, but if your chakras is not aligned, that just goes to show that you're really not that connected as you think you are and as you ought to be on a high level. Because if you and I were, we'll be doing so much more than what we have going on, in which a lot of us sadly is caught up in the mundane lifestyle, and many things has become redundant. Okay? So I say that and I share that to say that, I know that we been dealing with the African people before the inception of the Europeans and the Asians and Indians of a genetic recession. We've been dealing with things and we've been battling it, which is possibly as to why the existentiality of the recessive gene pool, albinos, X, Y, and Z. This is not to say they are evil people. However, through such inception, you may be marked, you may be cursed, in which we all have our job to break generational curses. Words like redemption, salvation is also applicable in our rise. Okay, becoming better human beings. So hopefully that can bring some light. And for those who are out there being critical thinkers, and they're doing their works and fighting things out of the earth. Peace, love, and light to you, and I sure wish that everything continues to work out in your best favor. Okay, because it's needed. There's a lot of things going on out here, and sometimes it can seem quite unfair that these light workers and empath, we go through so much that it's like we don't feel appreciated. It's like we're overlooked and we're bypassed and we're heckled at. We're being mocked and ridiculed and this, that, and the third. I tell you, this world is nuts, man. But in regards, as I close here, to my European family and Asian family, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. That which you came from, you shall return unto, which is applicable unto all human beings. This flesh is of the earth. I suggest we set aside, by continuing to go through our trials and tribulations, set aside that ego. There's no need for boasting. Humbleness and humility, as I've shared before many times, even put it in the form of a hashtag, humbleness and humility will get us very far. And your works, well, that's in the book too. For God judge, you know, God judges everything, the good and the bad, those things that's done in secret. The Lord has his eyes upon everything. Yes, indeed, truly. So, in saying so, I would just have to say for the record, of course, we don't look to justify any wickedness, even if someone has done something under a possession, in which sometimes you may have heard, well, I don't know what got into me, I don't know what happened. Some people take that for a joke and they take it lightly when there's actually truth. Anyway, your works have been noted and you have accomplished a lot. And I surely hope that we continue to get this together. And the exploitation that African people continue to go through is continuing to be allowed by what means? Even certain reenactments of this Y, X, Y, and Z as we continue to go through our trials and tribulations. But I'm like, yo, come on. Once you reach a certain point in adulthood, them things should not be happening. All right? I don't believe that. Because I know one thing. Once you have the strong union, a parental coalition, and you also have the strong union of man and woman, there should nothing should be able to come in between the affairs of that family. However, we will certainly have our test. Okay, we certainly have our test, and every day someone's people is going through something. So I surely hope that this touches someone and helps to give them some perspective, healthy perspective upon life, and then we can start getting, like I said, get down to some serious business and start fighting things out of the earth. Trust me, because I just don't see where the continual indulgence of sexual wickedness and pervertedness and crime and it's conducive to what? Hence, my quote, for those who've been following me, my quote that I put in the form of a question: how come the most melanated continue to live so degenerated? I always watching the poem, us man. So it is what it is, y'all. Wish y'all the best out there. Those at the bottom and those in the middle and the top. Peace, love, and light. Leo Isaiah Bridges. Ashe.